Fantastic's back! In comic form. So heaps of people probably haven't realised that Fantastic Four haven't had a comic in like 3 years. Probably since that bad movie. No, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. That's the one. There's been a lot of speculation about why the Fantastic Four were removed from Marvel's monthly printing rotation, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. We just want to find out what actually happened to the family. Now, in the first half of this video, you're going to see me in a lot of pain trying to explain Secret Wars and Battle World and all this stuff that I never read and I don't fully understand, but I'm going to try and explain it because, oh man, it's insane, and it's sort of important to understand what happened in this comic. So the end of the Fantastic Four run a few years ago didn't see anyone die or anything insane like that. It was actually quite a nice end. Johnny Storm got his powers back, apparently he'd lost them, he couldn't flame on, and Team Fantastic won a battle against one of their biggest enemies, the Quiet Man. Not that one, that's the one. And even though this was the end of their comic run, they still appeared in other comics, because Secret Wars happened. Here we go. So the Secret Wars was this big thing where the Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Marvel Universe collided, like they literally ran into each other and destroyed each other. It was called the Convergence. Not that one, that one. So both of these realities were completely wiped out, but a whole bunch of heroes escaped on a ship that Reed Richards built. He's Mr. Fantastic, if you didn't know. But part of this ship broke off, and it was the part that had basically all of the Fantastic Four, except Reed, but his children were in it too, so there was actually 5 of them, and then Reed, so is it the Fantastic 6? I don't even know. But that part of the ship that broke off with the Fantastic 5, not Reed, like, went off into space and exploded or whatever, and they all died. So you've got Reed Richards over here like freaking out because he just watched his family explode, but then you've got Captain Marvel saying, oh, I'm sure maybe they'll be okay. But they're not because they just exploded. But they're not exploded because Dr. Doom saved them because he got help from a dude called Molecule Man who can like do all these crazy things like create a new reality. I don't know exactly how they saved them, but they create this new reality that Dr. Doom is now the god of, so he's known as God Doom, and he sort of wipes the 5 other people's minds, and they forget everything in their past life, kind of. They sort of remember Reed, but they don't really know who he is, they just know that he exists, or something like that. It's so bizarre. So Reed Richards finds his Ultimate Marvel Universe self to get help getting his family back, but Ultimate Marvel Universe Reed Richards is evil, much like every other Reed Richards in every other universe other than the Earth 616, the main one that we know. It's really bizarre, he's just evil everywhere. I don't know why, but he just is. One thing I missed, because this thing is so damn confusing that I'm forgetting everything. In this new universe, Dr. Doom creates a thing called Battle World. So he gets all of the heroes that were trying to escape from the Convergence thing, he puts them all onto this world and then just gets them to fight the whole time. They're just fighting each other, and that's how Marvel like culled down all the heroes that they didn't want anymore, and that's why Spider-Gwen exists. Reed Richards and evil Reed Richards are able to save the family and defeat Dr. Doom, and then they get Molecule Man to create this all-new, all-different Marvel Universe, which was this whole run back in like 2016, 2017, maybe. And Reed Richards gets all the heroes from Battle World and sends them into this new reality, but he stays behind, but he sends Ben and Johnny to this universe as well. But he and his family, his kids and his wife, which is the Invisible Woman, they sort of stay behind and they hang out with Molecule Man, just creating new alternate universes for the Marvel Universe to kind of have. The multiverse, not the universe. The Marvel multiverse. Man, this thing is ridiculous. Ben and Johnny, who are the Thing and the Human Torch, if you didn't know who they were, get sent back to Earth and they think that the rest of the Fantastic family have died. So they're on Earth and they're like, oh man, we need to get them back. Surely they're alive somewhere. And they don't really know. Johnny thinks they're alive. Ben is sort of humouring him, and so they sort of travel around trying to find them in this all new, all different universe. but they're actually on this other planet in this other universe, exploring all the alternate universes that they're creating with Molecule Man. It's so freaking weird. But after all of this brings us to issue 1. So we open up to page 1, a tribute to Steve Ditko. Ditko was the Marvel artist responsible for the look of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and so many other characters in the Marvel Universe. It's amazing. But then, we turn the page to more tribute to Steve Ditko. This is how amazing this guy was. This is how important he was. He gets like 2 double-page spreads. And then finally we get to the first page of the story. And I love this page because it's obviously just each character talking about their family and their time together and all this sort of stuff. But every box of their dialogue is significant to them, and you know who's talking depending on what the box looks like. This looks so cool. But ultimately we start off seeing Johnny and Ben both on Earth just living their lives. Ben's hanging out with his blind girlfriend, just walking through some markets, playing with some cats, you know, normal stuff, but he's still a big rock man. And then we see Johnny at a baseball game with one of his mates. Now, I didn't realize, but this guy apparently has flame-on abilities too. I don't even know who this guy is. But then, written across the sky is Fantastic Four, led off by some special Fantastic Four flair. And then everyone in the city's freaking out because they think the Fantastic Family's back. Johnny and his friend just flame on, and they fly towards the building where the flare was let off. But Ben doesn't do anything. His girlfriend's like, "What's going on? Are we gonna go? I think your friends need you." And he's like, "No, they're not alive. This can't be them. This is not them." He's adamant. And somehow he knows that it's not. Because when Johnny arrives, it's just a couple of kids. They seem to have stolen a flare gun with this special Fantastic Four flare in it, and they've let it off over the city. Johnny's not happy. We then shoot to the police station where Johnny is with Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk. Now, Jennifer Walters is talking to the police about what they're going to do about these kids, whether they're going to try them or just give them community service. Johnny wants to try them like adults. He wants these kids in jail because he is so mad. But Jennifer Walters tells him that Ben wants them let go and that that's probably what's going to happen. And Johnny is so mad about this. He gets so frustrated. We then see Ben hanging out with this old man. I don't think it's Stan Lee, but let's just say it's Stan Lee. And they go to the building where this flare was stolen from. So these kids broke in and stole it from this room that's almost like a room of Fantastic Four memorabilia, and it's all just sort of up. I assume it's like an old base of theirs. Ben then sits down on the couch and picks up this box, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad this is here," and he sort of opens it a little bit and starts telling this story about like a lost adventure that the Fantastic Four had that the comics never mentioned, and I'm glad they didn't because, man, it is not interesting at all. I don't understand why this was in there. It's a 45-page comic. They didn't need to put it in there at all. They could have put something more interesting in there. But it's got Johnny singing for some reason to light up some staff that allows them to get back to Earth from space through some weird portals. I don't even know. It doesn't make any sense. So Ben finishes up this story and kind of opens the box and he's like, "Yeah, I've got a use for this thing." So he takes it and then he goes to his girlfriend's apartment, knocks on the door. She comes and she feels that it's him and he's on the ground, and it's sort of like, huh, why is he so low? Because you can see her hand on him like this. It's really weird. And then he proposes to her. He just proposes out of nowhere. So she says yes, and then it's all fun, happy times. And then they turn up all dressed up on the top of a building, and they invite Johnny over and they tell him the good news, and they ask him to be the best man. Now, of course, Johnny says, "No!" And then he has this huge rant about how he shouldn't be because he's not Ben's best friend, Reed is. And then they have this huge fight about Reed's dead, no he's not, Reed's dead, no he's not, blah blah blah. And then Johnny just freaks out, flames on, flies into the sky and just starts yelling at Reed, even though Reed's not around or he doesn't think he can hear him. He's like, "Reed, you are the smartest person ever. Just come in contact with us, man. Just come back. What are you doing?" And then he flies back down to Earth, looking and just feeling defeated. And he's just crying and he's saying, "They're gone, aren't they? They're gone." And then we get a shot of Reed and Susan on this other planet with this giant machine. He's saying, "Don't you trust me with this?" do you think I can do this? And she said, yeah, you can make the impossible happen. And he says, yes, I can do that. And the next shot, we see a giant 4 over Earth. And you see Ben and Johnny crying, saying, it's about damn time. But this is not where the comic ends. We get this whole other story in Latveria. This is the nation that Dr. Doom rules over. Now everything's looking pretty dreary. There's a whole lot of robots roaming the streets telling everyone to go in for their curfew. And these robots are called Doombots. They look exactly like Dr. Doom, but they're just sort of doing his bidding around the town. And then we see a village girl sneak into the castle. She's looking for Dr. Doom, but almost gets killed by the Doombots. But all of a sudden, all of them just sort of crumple and fall to the ground, and we see Dr. Doom. Not his face part, because that's still covered by the hood, but you can see that he doesn't have his usual mask on. But he's just sort of got this robe, he's not even wearing clothes. It's kind of weird. I'm guessing he probably had some sort of breakdown or something after he was God Doom and then was defeated by the Fantastic Four once again. And he's just sort of laying low or feeling a bit crappy about himself, not really wanting to rule over Latveria anymore. Nailed it. So this girl tells him, we need you back. We need you to rule over Latveria once again. We need Doom back. And he doesn't really want to do it, and he says something about showing his face, and I almost thought that we were going to see it. He starts taking his hood off, and I turn the page, and it's all still obstructed by other things, and it was so frustrating. I thought we were going to see it. But then he grabs the mask, he puts it back on, and he's basically like, okay. And then he goes outside, and there's a whole bunch of army people there who are like, hey, you shouldn't be out here, you've got curfew, blah, blah, blah. And then Doom comes up, and he's like, oh, screw you guys. And I think he kills them or something, and that's basically the end of that. And he's like, oh, I'm back. I'm back to rule over Latveria once again. Everything is sweet and a-okay. That's like word for word, verbatim what it says in the comics. And that's it. That's the end of the whole comic. There's a bit of a letter that's like, hey, we're back. Sorry we were gone. And if you thought like, that's kind of annoying because we never got to see them together, kind of like what I thought, they've got that covered too. It ends with this tiny 9-frame comic with a character called the Impossible Man complaining about how we didn't see the Fantastic Four together in this issue. And then a delivery man comes who again kind of looks like Stan Lee, and he delivers a letter to the Impossible Man saying, yeah, it'll probably happen in issue 2. So then the Impossible Man's like, well, I waited a few years for this, I guess I can wait another month. And that's it. So it's basically like, sorry guys, didn't happen this time, but probably next time. I friggin' hope so. They better be in the next one, because this comic wasn't great. It wasn't fantastic, but I think I'm in from here. I just want to maybe buy a couple more issues just to find out what happens to them. I might just buy like the first story arc, and then when that ends, I can finish up and I can just read them online or something totally legally. Well, I can with Marvel Unlimited. You guys should all subscribe because it's so freaking good. It's so good. Just go get it. But anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and Will and I are on Twitter. And we have a Patreon, just $2 will get you into our super secret Discord. Will and I also have our weekly podcast going up on YouTube now. We have a whole bunch on SoundCloud that we're going to be slowly migrating up to YouTube as well, because a bunch of people in the Discord told us that they would rather listen to it through YouTube than SoundCloud, so that's going to happen. So there's a whole bunch more content for you guys to watch or just listen to, but there is going to be a pretty visual with all those kind of voice sound waves and stuff if you're into that sort of thing. But as usual, thank you guys so much for supporting us. Please tell your friends. That would be the best way for this channel to grow and to get bigger and to get better content out to you guys, would be to just grow everything. Then we can have more ideas, more input, a whole bunch more fans just talking and chatting and sharing this stuff. That would be so mind-blowing. It would be amazing. But until next time, I have been Sheep, and I will see you guys later. Just up there is a video of Will doing this week's upload, and over there is some other video. I don't know, just go click on it. There's a whole bunch more videos on our channel. Subscribe if you want. I think it's over there. Maybe it's over there. I'm not sure.